Hello, professional fantasy football league players. Welcome to the Stardom Situm Show for Week 5. I'm your host, Josh Marton. On today's show, I've got two quarterbacks who should be on your radar if they're not, a running back who everyone is down on, but I am extremely high on this week. Plus, I've got 4 wide receivers that need to be on your bench, and I'll go over all the guys at the positions you need to start and sit. But first, let's talk about the bye weeks. 4 teams on bye this week: Dallas, Detroit, Oakland, and Tampa Bay. So if you have guys like Tony Romo, Des Bryant, Miles Austin, Jason Witten, DeMarco Murray, Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Mikal LaShore, Titus Young, Nate Burleson, Carson Palmer, Darren McFadden, Vincent Jackson, Josh Freeman, Doug Martin, they should all obviously be out of your lineup. I'm going to give you guys that you can replace them with. First guy I want to talk about at the quarterback position is my number 1 quarterback in my rankings. By the way, my rankings are up on the PFFL.com. So you can follow along with those as you listen to the show. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at JoshMartin33. Send all your questions over Twitter or on the PFFL Facebook page. I'll answer any of your lineup questions all weekend long. So I have Matt Ryan ranked number 1 at quarterback this week, going up against the Washington Redskins, who are the 4th worst team. They give up the 4th most points to quarterbacks, 21 points a game to quarterbacks, and they haven't faced a guy the likes of Matt Ryan yet. So I have him at number 1. He's a guy that obviously should be in your lineup, but I just want to talk about how great of a game he's going to have. Becoming a huge Matt Ryan fan, when guys like Brady, Breeze, and Manning move on, the torch is going to be passed, and one of them that it's going to be passed to is Matt Ryan. Next guy that needs to be in your lineup at the quarterback position is Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers has had a down year, But just like Aaron Rodgers, what's the fix to that? Playing the Saints. Look for Phillip Rivers to go off this week. The Saints are 5th against quarterbacks, giving up the 5th most points against quarterbacks at 20 points a game. Is that skewed a little bit because of Aaron Rodgers? Sure. Can Phillip Rivers put up the same sort of numbers? Absolutely. This is Phillip Rivers' coming out party. If you had a guy like Tony Romo or Stafford, you're probably starting him over Phillip Rivers. Put Rivers in. 2 guys who should be on your radar this week, especially with the buys. First, Christian Ponder. I have him ranked 10th because of the matchup against the Titans. The Titans are giving up the 2nd most points to quarterback. Last week, Ponder had a bad game. I agree. But here's the thing. The Vikings scored on 2 special teams plays against my lowly Detroit Lions. So Ponder wasn't on the field a lot. Their offense didn't have to do a lot. This week, they will, and they're going to do a lot. The Minnesota Vikings are going to have a big day. Next guy, if you're desperate, I'll give you a desperate play at every position this week because of the bye weeks. If you're desperate, look at Russell Wilson. I have him ranked 21st. He hasn't been good. He hasn't been average. He's been bad. I agree. But the Panthers are a good matchup for him. They're giving up the 10th most points to quarterbacks, and they don't do well against running quarterbacks. So if you need a guy to fill in because of the buys, it's Russell Wilson. Guys you should sit, first and foremost, is Michael Vick. I dropped him down to 12th. So technically where he's ranked, he could be a starter. But if you're deciding between him, I would play Christian Ponder over Michael Vick. I said it. Michael Vick's going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is getting James Harrison and Troy Polamalu back in the lineup this week. And if you asked James Harrison and Troy Polamalu who's the quarterback they would most like to face in their first week back, it's Michael Vick, hands down. Polamalu can sit back, wait, and pick off Vick after Harrison puts pressure on him, which he will. Michael Vick is going to have a bad day against Pittsburgh. Same game, same result. Ben Roethlisberger. I have him at 16th in my ranking. That Pittsburgh offensive line is not good. The Eagles' pass rush is very good. The Eagles are giving up the 29th most points against quarterbacks. They're good. They're going to get to Roethlisberger. Ryan Fitzpatrick should be on your bench this week. I talked about him on the waiver wire show. I told you to pick him up. But I also told you to stash him because this week they're playing the 49ers. Almost every Buffalo player that you have on your fantasy team, you're going to hear me say sit them in this show. There's a reason. 49ers are the 49ers. Matt Hasselbeck. Jake Locker's out. Hasselbeck is starting. He should not be starting in your lineup. The Vikings are going to get to him, and they're going to get to him a lot. If Locker was playing in this game, I wouldn't mind you starting him because he's a little bit more mobile than Hasselbeck. Well, he's a lot more mobile than Hasselbeck. But Hasselbeck's going to have to be in the pocket. He's not going to get a lot of time. Moving on to running backs. First guy I want to talk about is Matt Forte. I have him ranked 6th amongst running backs. 6th. He's a must start. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But I want to point out that I have him ranked higher than LaShawn McCoy, Maurice Jones-Drew, all of those guys. Put Matt Forte as your number 1 running back. He's going to have a great day this week. The running back that I'm high on that everyone else is down on is Ryan Matthews. I have him ranked 7th. Put him in your lineup this week. Playing the Saints. The Saints are giving up the most points against running backs in fantasy football. I don't care about the depth chart. Let me say it again. I don't care about the depth chart. I know Jackie Battle is starting the game. I don't care. Depth charts mean nothing on the team's website. Ryan Matthews could only play the 4th quarter and still go off for 15 points against the Saints. He should be in your starting lineup. Last guy at running back, the guy if you're desperate, Sean Drone. Jamal Charles getting most of the work? Absolutely. Is Jamal Charles going to have a big day? Absolutely. But Peyton Hillis is out. Sean Drone's going to get a few carries, might get a goal line carry, might get a touchdown. If you're looking for someone because DeMarco Murray, Darren McFadden, Doug Martin is on a bye, Sean Drone might be a good start. Guys who you should sit at running back, Buffalo. Fred Jackson and CJ Spiller, I have them 30th and 31st. They're going up against San Francisco. San Francisco's the real deal. Buffalo's not going to be able to run the ball. Next guy, I know he had a good day last week. I know he did. Chris Johnson. Finally had his coming out party, right? Hold off a little bit. I have him ranked 26th. I think he's a flex play at best, but I think you should sit him. The Vikings are the 2nd best team against running backs, giving up only 10 points per game to a total running back tandem. Chris Johnson's going to struggle in that game. Last guy at running back I want you to sit is Andre Brown. Ahmad Bradshaw looks healthy, said he feels great. He's going to get the bulk of the carries. Andre Brown's going to be on the field for a little bit, but he's not going to get a lot of carries. This is not a Bradshaw-Jacobs split. Andre Brown is a 3rd down back, and the Giants like to throw the ball on 3rd down. Bradshaw's their starter. And the Cleveland Browns do surprisingly well against running back. They're 15th, so average. But because of that, and Bradshaw's going to get most of the carries, put Brown on your bench. Moving on to wide receiver, Greg Jennings has been officially ruled out of the game on Sunday. So you're starting every Green Bay wide receiver. Jordy Nelson, I have him ranked 6th. A guy I'll give you if you're desperate is James Jones. I have him ranked 19th. So not that desperate. He had a great week last week. Did he have a bad week when Jennings was out? Absolutely. But I think he gets his head on straight. It's a great matchup against the Colts, who are giving up the 8th most points to wide receivers in the league. Rodgers is going to have a great day, and so are the wide receivers. Next guy, Torrey Smith, going up against the Chiefs. Chiefs giving up the 22nd most points against wide receivers. Okay? Torrey Smith's going to have a lot of targets down the field. He's going to be able to get down the field. Malcolm Floyd. That's who Phillip Rivers is going to throw the ball to. I told you I'm starting every Charger, even Robert Meacham. Malcolm Floyd is going to be the number 1. I got him ranked 18th. 2 guys if you're desperate because of the bye weeks. Dominic Hickson for the Giants. Again, depth charts. I don't care. If Ramses Barden is ranked over Dominic Hickson in the depth chart, I don't care. I have Dominic Hickson at 20th in my rankings. He's the guy that's going to see the targets because Nix is ruled out. The last guy, told you about him on the weekly waiver wire show. I have him ranked 29th in my rankings. It's T.Y. Hilton. He, again, depth chart. Doesn't matter to me. Production is what matters. T.Y. Hilton is a speedster, and those Green Bay cornerbacks are going to have a hard time keeping up with him. So I look for Andrew Luck to look deep for T.Y. Hilton, and he's going to have a nice day this week. 4 guys I told you I got to put on your bench. Stevie Johnson going up against the 49ers. Pierre Garçon going up against the Falcons. The Falcons are the real deal. And I don't know if Pierre Garçon is fully healthy yet. Nate Washington and Kenny Britt. I'll throw him in there too. Again, Hasselbeck I think is going to struggle. He's not going to have time to get the ball to his wide receivers. The last wide receiver I think you should put on your bench is Jeremy Maclin. I have him 39th. I think if Michael Vick is going to get any production, it's going to be from Deshaun Jackson. He's not going to have time to let Macklin's routes develop. Macklin is a better route runner than Deshaun Jackson. But Vick isn't going to have the time. He's going to have to heave it, and when he heaves it, he's looking for Deshaun Jackson. Macklin is also probably not fully healthy yet. So I have him 39th among wide receivers, like I said. Put him on your bench. Moving on to tight end, I have two guys at tight end who both had pretty bad weeks last week, but I think that was rare. I don't think that was a telltale sign of what their season's going to be like. It's Kyle Rudolph and Dennis Pitta. I have them ranked 5 and 6, respectively, among tight ends. And I believe that they both should be in your lineup. Guys you should bench, Fred Davis. Again, the Redskins are going to struggle against the Falcons. And Scott Chandler. If the Bills make it down to the red zone, Scott Chandler might get a touchdown. But I don't know if you can count on that if you need production from the tight end position. Look at Kyle Rudolph, Dennis Pitta, Martellus Bennett. Those guys can be put in. The last guy at tight end, the last guy I want to talk about on today's show, this guy I told you to drop on the weekly waiver wire show. I didn't rank him among the top 20 tight ends. And I might take a little bit of flack for this, but it's Antonio Gates. Now, I told you, Chargers are going to have a big day against the Saints, right? Not Gates. Gates, I don't know if he's not fully recovered from the injury. I don't know if he's just lost a step because of the injury, but he's not the same player he was 2, 3, especially 4 years ago. He needs to be out of your lineup. There's guys you can get better production from at the tight end position. And I am recommending you drop Gates, but especially I am recommending you sit him this week. So that's the show for this week. As always, I appreciate you listening. I'm looking to get you a win. You're professional fantasy players. You're taking this seriously. That's what I'm here to do for you, is to get you up to the next tier. Or if you're already in tier 1, get you the big prize money. Remember, you can listen to all the great PFFL Radio Network content we have. Saturday is going to be the PFFL Live Breaking News. Don't forget, next week, Monday is Next Day Air with me, plus the weekly waiver wire show and the Go Pro Fantasy Show with the Fantasy Geek. I'm your host, Josh Martin. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at JoshMartin33. Send me all your questions over the weekend as far as your lineup, who you should start, who you should sit, especially on Sunday. I'll be answering them right up until the 1 o'clock games. Remember, keep smiling, keep listening, and always look both ways.